Welcome to part 4 of Godlesspanther's Satanic Panic series. Before I get into talking about Geraldo, I will show another clip from a talk show. It's a Larry King episode in which his guests are two SRA survivors who sued their mother for sexual abuse, and an SRA skeptic, Jeffrey Victor, author of the book Satanic Panic, The Creation of a Contemporary Legend. This was published in 1993. The book is available at Amazon. The following is an edited Larry King episode. To set the scene, Larry had one SRA survivor in person and her sister on the telephone. Jeffrey Victor is in person, and there are some questions from outside callers.
Yes.
Did the jury award money?
No, they did not.
What did they award?
They didn't award anything. They found her negligent, but they did not award any money.
There were many different kinds. Sexual abuse was involved. There was some physical abuse that included some scalding and things like that when I was very young. As my father began to be more drawn into it, it included child prostitution and things like that, as well as actually being drawn into groups where there were ritualistic practices going on.
But when you got into adulthood, couldn't you just walk away?
No, because I didn't remember it. I was completely dissociated.
Okay, Bonnie, you were made pregnant when you were 11 years old?
Yes, I was.
Had a child?
Yes, I did.
Is that your daughter?
No, not this daughter.
What happened to that child?
That child was sacrificed within the cult when she was about 6 months old.
Sacrificed how?
By being stabbed, and I was coerced into doing the act myself with my own child.
The police never found out about this?
The groups are extremely careful to cover up all evidence through using crematoriums and things like that. At least that's how I understand it.
Ladies, we're joined by Jeffrey Victor, professor of sociology at Jamestown Community College in New York. What do you make of this?
Well, I think that it's essentially like the Salem witchcraft trials. It's a form of collective behavior that's sweeping the country. And
the cults themselves?
No. There's no evidence whatsoever, no substantial evidence, no verifiable evidence of any organized group like a mafia that follows Satanism and commits crimes.
Like the Geraldo Rivera specials.
Right.
That is not true.
What does exist, however, is a kind of collective behavior.
To come out. Right. If it's not that, what is it?
They are absolutely sincere in expressing their experience, but their experience comes from the therapist. It's like therapists who believe in reincarnation have patients that, after some therapy, reveal reincarnation experiences.
Bonnie, how do you respond?
Well, I respond, first of all, by saying that at no time in therapy did Dr. Moss ever lead me toward anything.
And conspiracy theories are very seductive to believe.
Bonnie, do you remember where the murder took place?
A great deal of activity was in some caves in mountains, but the point that I would really like to make is that I don't believe either my sister or I, or during the trial were we claiming there was any kind of nationwide conspiracy. Our point is that this kind of abuse goes on within families, and then families band together, passing down pain from generation to generation.
Do you buy that, Jeffrey?
I
think Jeffrey was concerned by the fact that people do think they are nationalists. They're national cults everywhere. And you never said that. But his concern is that people may think
there are many people around the country, in many cases like this, of people making claims that there are nationally organized networks of
But what do they gain out of it? I mean, what are Bonnie and Patty gaining out of this?
I think they gain an explanation for their painful experience.
Which may be another kind of experience.
Which is another kind of experience.
You don't deny they may have had child abuse?
It's entirely possible. They may have been victims of child abuse. It's entirely possible that it's not necessarily so, but it's entirely possible they may have been abused by their parents or one of their parents. But people who have dissociative disorder find it find it difficult to get their thinking together. They're kind of like sponges that soak up the diseases of the age. And
but 10 out of 12 people believe them.
10 out of 12 people believe that there were communists in every little village in the United States. 10 out of 12 people believe that the witches were going to take over Massachusetts Bay Colony. No, he was a Christian therapist. He has a bachelor's degree in business administration and training in divinity.
Has been dealing with these kinds of dissociative disorders and multiple personality disorder for 9 years, which makes him something of an expert.
Los Angeles, hello.
Yes, Larry, great show. Doctor, I'm on your side. I can't buy any of this. These women can't produce any shred of evidence. The one woman says she was molested in caves. Where are the caves? Out in Palmdale? Were they in Irvine, Tustin? You know, can you take us to the caves and show it to us?
I can understand why no one wants to believe any of these things. I wish I didn't have to believe them, but I understand why no one wants to believe. No one could possibly want to believe this, but it's happening, and we need to begin to break our denial down and look at it. And the jury was able to do that by listening to the three of us over the course of that trial.
Now, how'd they get away with it, Bonnie? Or wouldn't you know, since it's memory?
I know some things, but I don't think I can give really accurate answers to a lot of that. I know the evidence is often burnt. It's hidden away. It's extremely important that it not be known about. I assume there's some burials, but I can't give you a really accurate answer about that, only that it needs to thrive in the dark on denial to keep going.
Jeffrey, you're keeping all your options open, right?
I think that this is the folklore of the age.
Those excerpts were from the tail end of the Satanic Panic era. Since that time, many of the people who had repressed memories evoked by therapists have retracted their claims. Several of these so-called therapists have been sued. Notice how Bonnie told the man on the phone, someone who she did not know, that he just didn't want to believe it. He would rather be in denial, because he is just one of those folks who can't handle the hard truth. Whenever you ask for evidence and get an analysis of your personality instead of the evidence, when I left off in part 3, I was talking about Geraldo Rivera and his impact on mass hysteria that revolved around Satan worshipers. The Religious Tolerance website sets Geraldo apart from the other talk show hosts who promoted the satanic malarkey for two reasons. One, he probably had a greater influence on society than the others, and two, he was the only one who issued a retraction and an apology for promoting erroneous information that had a detrimental effect on society. The site lists 4 Geraldo episodes in which he disseminated the hooey about underground satanic cult activity. The first of these aired on November 19, 1987, and the last one on June 25, 1995. On December 12, 1995, Geraldo is quoted as saying, "I want to announce publicly that as a firm believer of the Believe the Children movement of the 1980s that started with the McMartin trials in California, but now I am convinced that I was terribly wrong, and that many innocent people were convicted and went to prison as a result. And I am equally positive that the repressed memory therapy movement is also a bunch of crap." After that, Satanic Panic left mainstream society and crawled back into the fundy subculture. But the damage had already been done. The McMartin Preschool fiasco started in 1983 when workers at the school were accused of sexually abusing the children. The trials continued until 1990. No convictions were obtained. There were several other cases in which people were accused of imaginary crimes. I am not very knowledgeable of this aspect of the era. I encourage others to make a video on it. Most of the YouTube videos on the McMartin case are by the crackpot Ted Gunderson. Now it is time to go to part 5.